Alright, we said earlier that a triangle is a three-sided polygon, and we have different types of triangle. We have the right angle triangle, we have the isosceles triangle, we have the equilateral triangle, and the scalene triangle. So but today we're going to be focusing on the isosceles triangle. And an isosceles triangle is a triangle where two angles are equal, or we say base angles are equal. And we'll be focusing on the right isosceles triangle, because two right isosceles triangle form a square. So, and that is the relationship you see a lot in these quant questions. So let's look at a square. Now we've all agreed that a square is a quadrilateral, which means it has four sides. Now each of the angles in a square is 90 degrees. So let's draw a diagonal. So when we draw our diagonal, we're going to be having two triangles. So now let's look at these triangles critically. Now you'll notice that because we have cut this into two halves, this place becomes 45, and we've also cut this into two equal halves, so this side becomes 45. And when you look closely, you see this part is 90 degrees. So that gives birth to right isosceles triangle. So let's look at this. Now, from trigonometry, when we're deriving for sine, cosine, and tangent of these 45 degrees, here is 45 degrees. Now usually we say this is 1 and this is 1, and then we solve for this part. Now this is the longest side, which is the hypotenuse. Let's call it x. So according to Pythagoras theorem, x squared is equal to 1 squared plus 1 squared. That means x squared is equal to 1 plus 1. Then x squared is equal to 2. That means x is equal to root 2, meaning that this part is root 2. So having seen this, it means that the triangle has side 1 to 1 to root 2. So now this is a pattern you're going to memorize. So this could also mean x to x to x root 2. So this is a very important formula or that you must remember, because you're going to be using it to solve questions relating right isosceles triangles to square. Okay, now we have some questions here. Let's look at the first one. It says a square was bisected into two equal triangles. If the length of the diagonal is 16 root 2 centimeter, what is the area of the square? Now we know that a square will be split into two right isosceles triangles. So let's look at this. Now this represents the length, this represents the breadth, because when you complete it, this is what you get, a square. Now it says the diagonal is 16 root 2. So here is 16 root 2. Now we've already noted that the diagonal is always root 2 or is x root 2. So using that, we are going to be having x root 2 is equal to 16 root 2. Now when we divide both sides by root 2, this will cancel this. We have that x is equal to 16. So this part is x, this part is x. Now the question is, what is the area? Now the area of a square is length times breadth, so which is x times x, and that's 16 times 16. And then we'll quickly do that. 6 times 6 is 36. We'll write 6, we'll keep 3. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3, that's 9. 1 times 6, that's 6. 1 times 1, that's 1. So we have 6. 9 plus 6, that's 15. So we're going to have 256. So our area becomes 256 cm squared. Okay, that's that for the first question. Now the second question says, what is the area of a square with diagonal 6? So it's still the same question. We've already noticed that the diagonal of a square is x root 2, so we're going to have 6 is equal to x root 2, meaning that x is going to be, we divide both sides by root 2, it's going to be 6 root 2. Now the area of a square is going to be x times x, which is length times breadth, and that's 6 root 2 times 6 root 2. Now 6 times 6 will give us 36. Root 2 times root 2 will give us 2. Now 36 divided by 2, 2 into 3 is 1, remainder 1, put it at the back. 2 into 18, 2 into 16, that will give 8. Okay, so that is that for the second question. Now for the third question, we have the longest side of an isosceles right triangle measures 20 root 2. What is the area of the triangle? Like we noted earlier, the longest side is the diagonal, and that is x root 2. So x root 2 here is 20 root 2. So we're going to have that x root 2 is equal to 20 root 2. So root 2 will cancel root 2. X is equal to 20. So from here the question says what is the area. Now if x is 20, then the area is going to be 20 times 20, and that will give 400. Alright, the last question says, it says what is the diagonal of a square with an area of 25. Now we already said that the area of a square is x times x, and that is x squared. So it means that x squared is equal to 25. Now we take square root of both sides, and that will give us x is equal to 5. Now we already know what x is. This is our x, this is our x, this is x root 2. Now we are looking for the diagonal. The diagonal is same as x root 2. So answer is going to be x root 2. Anywhere we see x, we put 5, so we're going to have 5 root 2. Alright, so these are like the basics. Most times it's not like they're going to ask you directly like this, sometimes they do actually. So in my next video I'm going to pick another property and we're going to look at it. Alright, thanks and have a lovely day.